I'd like to give all glory and praise and honor unto the Most High. And today we're going to get into it, man. Today what we're going to be talking about is, when the Israelites, they wanted a king. They wanted a king to reign over them, And, the Most High, he granted them that. But, when he also granted them that, he also explained to them, beforehand what was going to happen, if they got a king, these are the things that's going to happen, and they still opted in, to go ahead with that, So we're going to read those scriptures real quick, We're going to show you what was going down. Oh, man. 1 Samuel chapter 8. We're going to get into it, man. And it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment, man. You see that? They turned aside after for what? Filthy lucre, took bribes, and perverted judgment, man. What does that sound like today? Oh, man. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge like all the nations, man. Now make us a king to judge like all the nations, man. You see that? They wanted to be like the other nations. Let's keep going. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. You see that? The Most High said, okay, give them what they want. They didn't reject you, Samuel. They rejected me. It's my laws that they didn't like. They don't like. Oh, man. Let's keep going. Verse 8. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee, man. So since they came out of Egypt, man, they were plotting. They were thinking about this, to have a king. Verse 9. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and shew them the manner of the king that they shall reign over them. So right here, the Most High tell them, like, look, man, we're going to show you beforehand, like I was saying earlier on, the king that's going to reign over them, the type of kings that's going to reign over them, man. And Samuel told all the words, of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. Just keep going. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captain over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards, sound like Ahab and Naboth right there, and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servant. Let's keep going, man. He's telling them what's going to happen if they get this king, Let's go. Verse 14, 15. And he will take the tenth of your seed and your vineyards and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses and put them to his work. And he will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. Verse 18 right here, this is important. He said, And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye have chosen you. And the Lord will not hear you in that day, man. I want you to remember this. Remember verse 18 right here. It said, Ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye have chosen. You know what I mean? Which shall he have chosen you? And the Lord will not hear you in that day, man. Let's keep going. Remember that one. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they And they said, nay, but we will have a king over us. Even after he said all this to them, they said, no, we still want a king over us. You know what I mean? And like he said, it wasn't because of Samuel. It was because they despised the law of the Most High. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They still wanted a king to reign over them after telling them all this. And this is, you see how foolish they were. You see, let's keep going. You know, so they wanted a king over them. Right here, verse 20, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles, man. But the Most High was already doing this. You know what I mean? He showed you this in Egypt, man. You know, he showed you that he could do these things. You know, that he'll go before us and fight your battles, man. You know. But you see right here, they wanted to be like the other nations, man. You see that? The Most High had them up in a leadership positions, but they wanted to be like the other nations, you know? What does that translate to in this modern day time? You know? They wanted to, you know, they wanted to be in the secret society. I mean, they want to mimic, you know, the skull and bones, what the other nations are doing, you know, that heathenistic lifestyle, man. This is what they wanted, to be like the other nations, man. You know? Oh, man. Freemasonry, you know? They wanted to be like the other nations, man. But look what happened in this modern day time. You know, everything they study in these lodges is about you. The book, your books, they study them and pervert it. And this is what the prophets was trying to tell them the entire time, to turn back to the Most High. Turn back. No, but they wanted to be like the other nations. But when the other nations got a hold of their books, you know, that their knowledge, all they did was study about them. Because everything goes back to the Most High at the end of the day. Everything is all roads lead back to the Most High, you know. So when they wanted to be like the other nations and they fell, and these people got their books, they used the same stuff against them. You know, so this is why, you know, I did that video where I was saying, like, look, man, you know, you were in the Illuminati already. You were these guys were the Illuminati already. They were the illuminated ones, man. And I'm gonna put that link in the description box or the comment box. You know, that shows you, like, man, you had the wisdom already. You know, but like I said, the other nations got it now, and then what, they perverted that knowledge, man. And like I said, this is why the prophets was telling you return, because you already had it. But they wanted to be like the other nations, man. What you think that movie in the book of Eli was showing you? Why do you want the book? He wanted the book, the scriptures. Because all they do, you know, is study your book and pervert it, man. That's what they do. Oh, man, let's keep going, man. Let's keep going. So they wanted to be like the other nations, man. Verse 21. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, go ye every man unto his city, man. Oh, man. Even after all that, you wanted to be like the other nations. Let's keep going, man. So let's take a look at this chart real quick, man. So, you know, remember Saul was the first king, you know, and Saul started off good, but, you know, he eventually strayed from the path. He did evil, you know, then his son came. And when his son came, you know, that's when the kingdom kind of split it into two. But, you know, David was able to, you know, reunite the kingdoms, you know, when he came to the throne, you know, because it was split, you know, for a brief moment, you know. Then David passed, Solomon came, you know, then Solomon passed. Let's go down to the left-hand side here real quick. So right here, so Solomon's sons, Rehoboam, you know. So when he came on the scene, you know, like when he was a newly appointed king, and you can find this story in you know, Second Chronicles chapter 10. You know, And I want you to remember when the Most High said, what that I previously read. Hey, when that day comes, I'm gonna laugh at. I'm not gonna laugh at you. I'm not gonna hear you. When you call out to me, because these kings are doing A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z to you, because I already explained it to you. So I'm summarizing for a little bit. Rehoboam, when he came on the scene, they asked him, "Hey, don't wear us out like your father did. King Solomon. Don't wear us out. Like, hey, take it easy on us with the labor." And he decided, hey, look, I'm not. My father, put you guys to work. I'm gonna put you guys to work too. So they didn't like that, and the kingdom ended up splitting into two again. After that. So, so it wasn't even that long, and they started complaining, man, about the kings, putting them to work, man. But yeah, let's take a look at this real quick. Let's look at the right side. The northern kingdom, this is when the kingdom split. The northern kingdom, they only had like one decent king. That was Jehu. The rest of the kings were, they did evil, and that was due to the kingdom splitting in half. They all were supposed to be under the the governing body of Judah. But due to them being split, a lot of wickedness ensued. But you see on the left hand side, it wasn't really that many good kings. And that's all due to, what the Most High was telling them. And the kingdom's being split. So let's keep going, man. First Maccabees chapter 1. And it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persians and the Medes, that he had reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. So this is Alexander the Great is talking about right here. Macedonian. Some people say he was Greece. Some people say he was both, but leave that up to you guys. He said, verse 2, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So Alexander the Great, like he was he's known as the great conqueror in history, in the history books. He conquered a lot of lands. Verse 3, and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strongholds and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants as such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule everyone in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves, and so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth, man. You see that? And evils were multiplied in the earth. So what it's saying right here is, after Alexander the Great died, he got sick, he died. He gave his he split his kingdom up into his, because he didn't have a son, he didn't have an heir to the throne. He didn't have a son. He didn't have a son. So he split his everything that he conquered throughout his lifetime. He split it up in between his his most loyal men, that he grew up with. And it's saying right here, evils were multiplied in the earth after this, man. Things got real wicked, man. So who are these people today? The Macedonians, the Grecians, the Romans, they all under one umbrella today, man. They all under one umbrella. Like I said, look at that back of that dollar bill. You have the Egyptian pyramid. That's the house of Pharaoh. And then you have the eagle, which symbolized, Rome. That Roman Empire didn't go anywhere, man. It just rebranded itself. What's the biggest church that we have on earth right now? The most powerful one. influential one. It's the Roman Catholic Church, the Vatican. You know? So all these guys are under one umbrella now. It said evils multiplied itself in the earth, man. Who are these people today? Oh, man, because the table of nations, look, it didn't change, man. These people are still out here. Let's go. So I just want to read this little passage right here from, the writings of Josephus. It says right here, the Jews have borne more calamities. You see that? Listen to this. It said the Jews have borne more calamities from Herod in a few years than had their forefathers during all that interval of time that had passed since they came out of Babylon, man. So he's saying right here, look, they had more trouble under Herod just in a few years than their forefathers had all during all that interval of time had passed since they came out of Babylon. So, when the Most High said, look, he wasn't going to hear them, this is also what he was talking about, man. The Romans got put over us. The Romans, had jurisdiction in Jerusalem, and like I said, Herod was a horrible king. So you see, the Most High said, look, man, you want the king. It wasn't necessarily always talking about, our kings. It was like these other nations, man, too, He gave you a king. You got a king. You got Herod. He said, I'm not going to hear you in that day when you call out, man. Why? Because you didn't want me over you. So like I was saying before, who are these people, man? Like it says the evils multiplied in the earth. When he split, when Alexander the Great split, but his kingdom in between his generals, or his those closest to him. It said the evils multiplied in his earth, and their sons put on crowns, meaning their progenitors, of their lineage, because they, like I said, they still out here, man. These are the ones ruling today. These are the ones, telling you. These are the ones that told you, they had weapons of mass destruction over there. And then they didn't. Then they passed that Patriot Act, to invade your privacy, when they told you there was terrorists over there, and it wasn't. It was all a lie. These are the ones that's, behind these mass shootings, these false flag attacks. Sandy Hook, all of this. All these wars, dating back from now to going back to, to World War II, to Vietnam, dating back. These are the ones telling you these things, because the scripture said evils multiplied in the earth, man. Look at what's going on today. Who's ruling? Watch. Pay attention. The border of wickedness. Evils multiplied in the earth. And like Yasharel, they were saying they wanted a king. The Most High gave you a king. He gave them to you. Why? Because like I was saying before, you wanted to be like the other nations. This is why, they know who you are. These same people passed these decrees, the dumb diverses in 1492, to come enslave your own people. But like, look, when you a sellout, you don't stand on nothing. You're just going to go wherever the wind blow. Like I said before in my previous videos, you don't care. You're going to go whatever the wind blow, But this is who you want it to be like, And they took your scriptures, they took your identity, and all they study, like I was saying before, all they study is your scriptures. And what they do, they safeguard it from you. They safeguard that information from you now. Why? Because you want it to be like the other nations, like it said in the scriptures. You want it to be skull and bones, 322 or 233. That's what you wanted. And the Most High gave it to you. And what are they doing now? Ruling over you. But like I said, when you sold out, you're not going to feel that pressure. Why? Because they stayed their hand. That's why this, like it says in the Maccabees, hey, let's go make a covenant with the heathen. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrows. So when you go back underneath them, you're not going to feel that pressure. Why? Because they stayed their hand. When I say they stayed their hand, it's like they took their hand off you. Because they say, all right, look, he's under our wing now. He's going to do our bidding. But when you outside of that, you feel that pressure. And that's what they were feeling, in the Maccabees. That's why they had to go back underneath them, man. So these people are still out here, man. Like it says, the evils multiplied itself in the earth, man. They're the ones telling you that you're a terrorist now, man. When you stood up for the right thing. Or when you get angry. About current events and things that's going on. Even though you're still following the Lord. They scammed you out of your privacy with the Patriot Act. While they get to walk around unblemished, like the scripture says, evils multiplied itself on the earth, man. It says Alexander the Great, his men, they put on crowns. When they put on those crowns, things got more wicked. Oh, man. Look at what's going on. Who are these people, man? Today. The Romans, the Grecians, Macedonians, they all under one umbrella. This is your kings, man, that you wanted, that he gave to you. Oh, man. You was already in the Illuminati, man. You was already in. This is what the prophets was trying to tell you to return. Because they knew that once you guys fell and these other nations, got a hold of these scriptures, got a hold of, our knowledge, they were just going to be studying what you knew, and perverting it. Look at what's going on today. They perverting everything that the scripture says not to do. They making it legal. You already had it. You already had it. So, man. So, that's all I gotta say, man. You already had it, man. That's why they was telling you return. Once they got that information, they realized that, look, it was all about you. Because like I said, all the roads turn back to the Most High. So, I'll give all praises on to the Most High, man. Hopefully this was edifying, man.